Okay, so we want to solve for one of the variable in the following formulas. Okay, so the first one, this is actually the formula for the value for a rectangular box. Okay, so it's length times width times height give you the value for the box. You don't need to memorize this formula. In this problem, you just need to solve for W, which means try to isolate this W here. Okay, so how can I isolate this W? So notice the W here is being multiplied with L and H. So we need to get the W isolated, we need to undo those multiplication. To undo multiplication, we divide. So we're going to divide both sides by L and H. So divide by L times H, divide by L times H on both sides. Now by doing this, you see that it's going to, by doing this, you see this L divide L become 1, H divide L, and on this side, you will have this W here isolated, okay? So, and then this side, we have V over LH, okay? So, V over LH. Now, we normally prefer to have the variable that we solve isolated to one side of this equation, to the left side of the equation. So we put W equal to V over LH. And this is the preferred way to write the final IG right here. Okay. Number 2. So number 2, this is a formula for trapezoid, the area for trapezoid. In this formula, we need to solve for B1. Notice that B1 and B2 are two different variables. This stands for the top base, and this stands for the bottom base. So they're two different variables. So in order to isolate the B1, we need to first, we want this, we want it to be, instead of 1/2 times this, we want it to be just a 1. How can I get this 1/2 here to become a 1? So what number do I need to multiply with 1/2 so that I will get a 1? Well, that will be 2. Okay, 2 times 1/2 will give you 1. So we times 2 on this side. So we also want to times 2 on the other side. So for equation, whatever you do to one side, you also do that to the other side. Okay. So times 2 on both sides. Now, by doing this, this becomes 1. So we have h times this on the right side of the equation. On this side, we'll have 2a. Okay. Now, after this, remember, we're trying to isolate this b1. So over here, we have multiplication, and here we have a parenthesis. Notice that when you solve equation, okay, when we need to undo the operation in order to isolate the variable. So when we undo the operation, the weaker operation is going to get undone first. Okay, so for example, if you bend on some object, the weaker part that the part that are kind of loose is going to fall off first, and the part that are bonded together stronger is going to stay on. It's going to fall off a little bit later, right? So same thing over here with operation. So the weaker operation, this is a weaker, those are the weakest operation, it's going to get undone first. Okay, multiplication, division will get undone later, exponent undone later, and then finally undone parenthesis. Okay, so when you try to solve equation, we'll undo the weaker operation first. So here we have multiplication and parenthesis. So multiplication get undone first before the parenthesis. So we need to undo this multiplication with h. To undo multiplication, we divide. So we're going to divide by h. Okay, so divide by h on both sides. Okay. Now, by doing this, h divided by h is 1. Okay, so you will get this side have b1 plus b2. Okay, now on the other side, you will have 2a over h. Okay. Now finally, now the parenthesis you can remove the parenthesis because this is the b1 plus b2. There's nothing you multiply outside, so you don't need the parenthesis when you get to this step right here. Now to isolate this b1, we need to undo this addition with B2. So undo addition, we subtract. Okay, so we're going to subtract B2 on both sides. So now the B1 get isolated all by itself. So on this side you will have 2a over h minus B2. Remember, the variable that we try to solve, we want to leave it to the left side of the equation. So B1 will be equal to 2a over h minus B2. So that's the final answer over here. Okay. Now the next example, this is another formula. We try to solve for P. To solve for P here, notice that it has multiplication with this whole thing in the parentheses. So we need to undo this multiplication to get this P all by itself. Okay. So to undo multiplication, we divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by this whole thing inside the parentheses. So divide by 1 plus RT on both sides. That will, so divide out. Okay. Now over here is equal to A over 1 plus RT. Okay. Now the next example, 3x minus 4y equal 20. We try to solve for y. So to solve for y, we need to get this y all by itself. So to do that, let's isolate the negative 4y first. So if I want to isolate negative 4y, I need to undo this 3x. So we subtract 3x. So we subtract 3x on both sides. Then this side will have negative 4y, and this side will have 20 minus 3x. Or you can put negative 3x plus 20. Now, notice that we're trying to isolate the y. The y is being multiplied with the negative 4. To undo multiplication, we divide. So divide by negative 4. So that is division. That's the division right here. So divide by negative 4 on both sides with every term of this equation on both sides. So this term divided by negative 4, this term divided by negative 4, this term divided by negative 4. Terms are separated by addition. Okay. So negative 4 here divide out, giving you y. Over here, negative 3 divided by negative 4, this positive 3 over 4. So it's positive 3 over 4 times x. Okay. You can leave the x to the top, or you can put it on the side. It's the same thing. Now, what about this? Positive divided by negative is negative. So this is negative. So negative 5. So negative 5 here. Another way to do this equation here, we divide by negative 4. So divide this side by negative 4, divide this side by negative 4. So the negative 4 divide out, giving you y. And on the other side, you can do this. You can, the negative side, you can write this as negative 3 divided by negative 4. The negative side cancel, so it becomes 3 over 4. And then positive divided by negative is negative. So you can have a negative side here. So it's negative 20 over 4. Okay. So that's another way to write the final answer over here. Okay. Okay, now we can take a break. Okay.